You may be seated.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Harrison versus Grant.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Harrison, you are suing the defendant, Ms. Grant, for paternity fraud. You've also petitioned the court to remove your name from the acknowledgement of paternity document for 4-year-old Aaliyah Harrison because you claim you signed it under false pretenses.
Yes, Your Honor.
Ms. Grant, you claim you may have lied about your ongoing affair, but you did not lie about Mr. Harrison being your daughter's biological father.
Absolutely, Your Honor. Yes, ma'am.
So, Mr. Harrison, explain, why are you suing for fraud?
Well, Your Honor, I signed my acknowledgement for paternity for my daughter, and I've done everything for her since the day she's been born. I've had several people come to me through Facebook and through text messaging on my phone saying that, Aaliyah is not your daughter. I don't care what, Miss Grant is saying, she is not your daughter.
Are they explaining what they based this assertion on?
Well, apparently it's through several of her friends, that
They're
maybe
not any
she's
kind
had.
of friends of mine, Your Honor, if they're going around talking behind my back.
Well, see, I have to say that the person that gave me these accusations had no reason other than the fact that they had an argument and she felt like she had to get a little bit of revenge on her, and started telling me things such as, but also said, this child does not look anything like you. You need to start doing a little bit of investigation.
Well, she's biracial, Your Honor. What is she supposed to look like? She looks like herself.
She doesn't look like she has anything.
Ms. Grant, you do admit you cheated, is that correct?
Yes, I had a relationship with a man that I had met when I was very young. I met him when I was 18 years old. He was a good friend to me.
Mr. Harrison, when did you find out about this?
Your Honor,
when he went snooping through my phone.
I have to say, she had this affair with this person for 15 years. I've only been with her for 8. So this goes way before we were ever even together in the first place. So after 8 years with her and a previous child before the one in question, we have already had a child together. So she has been cheating on me literally the entire 8-year span that we were together, including the time of our first child.
So just take me to the day when you found out.
I found out when I was bringing home like a dryer or something like that and asked her to help me out bringing it in. And she wasn't helping me the way I needed to be helped getting it through the door. And I started getting maybe a little bit upset, just trying to bring a big washer and I needed help guiding it through. She got upset and she said, I just don't want to do this anymore. I just don't want to do it anymore.
I didn't want to have to keep lying to him, Your Honor. I got tired of, being dishonest and being disrespectful in my relationship. And I gave him every option to, decide what he wanted to do. And so I decided that instead of letting somebody else blackmail me like my so-called friend had done.
How about honesty? How about honesty 7 years ago? How about, honesty at the very beginning?
Well, and I want to understand what happened that day. So out of the blue, help me move the washer turns into, I just don't want to do this.
It turns into him getting frustrated and
upset.
fussing and cursing. And I said, you know what? I can't do this anymore with you.
And so, Ms. Grant, who was this person?
This person was a friend of mine. I had met this person when I was 18 years old. I was a single parent of a 2-year-old daughter at the time. He helped me with her. He helped me financially. He has bought cars. He has paid rent. He has paid bills. Okay? When I met Mr. Harrison and I told my friend, I'm in love and we're gonna have a baby. And he wished me the best. He said, I'm gonna bow out gracefully. I know you'd like to get married. And that wasn't his intention for me. And so, like a real friend, he just wanted to know how I was doing.
Was this strictly platonic or was this a sexual relationship?
At times it was sexual, but for the most part, it was platonic while I was with Mr. Harrison.
But this whole
and
time, she would sit there and go run off.
How did you manage to do this for 15 years, but 8 years while you were with Mr. Harrison? How did you pull this off?
Lies.
Non-stop, the entire time. Because I've asked her several times throughout this entire 8-year relationship if she's ever cheated. Absolutely not. I would never cheat on you.
Ms. Grant, Mr. Harrison is suing you.
Yes, ma'am.
For paternity fraud.
Yes, ma'am.
Because he says he signed the acknowledgement of paternity under false pretenses because he feels like you misled him, lied.
Yes, but I didn't lie about the paternity. I lied about whether or not I was seeing somebody, but Like I said, the person wasn't even in our area at the time.
So you're saying you were not sleeping with this person
Not at that time, no.
during the time Aaliyah was conceived?
But how am I supposed to ever believe that after an entire 8-year relationship? Aaliyah's only 4 now. You see what I'm saying? That's a long time to supposedly not just
Absolutely,
be,
that's a long time,
with
but that's
them.
why
So
we're
your
here
point
now.
is, how do I believe that
Well,
when
she
you
sat
already
there and told me when she admitted up to all this, she told me, yes, it's been going on the whole time.
But I also, when I came clean, I gave you the option whether or not you wanted to stay, whether or not you wanted to go ahead and call it quits for good, forever.
Yes, you're right.
Or if you wanted to go ahead and, lay it out all out
Because I'm not
on
a
the line.
deadbeat and
Because
actually
he's
want to be
cheated on
around
me
my
too.
children if they're mine. I'm not
He's
going to
cheated on
sit
me
there.
too.
I'm not going to sit there. I told her time and time again, I said, I don't care how bad at times our relationship is. Let's wait until the kids get older so that they can understand a little bit better than dad just leaving at 4 and 7 years old. The thing is, I love her to death. She's my best friend, and she really is.
Look,
I could spend 100
There
hours straight with her
are a lot
and never.
of people out here that love people,
It's
but
the
don't
lies.
trust them.
It's the
Absolutely.
lies. That's all it boils down to is lies. That's it. It's just the lies. I feel like she will lie for no reason whatsoever.
If you want more episodes of Paternity Court, make sure to subscribe and click on the notification bell. Ms. Grant, when were you last intimate with this other guy?
December.
In December.
Before Mr. Harrison and I decided to try and reconcile. We had been living apart for almost 10 months.
Almost 10 months.
And so this is just months ago, 2 months ago.
Let me
that you
also
really
say this. I had major ankle surgery in February of 2014. She decided that was the time she wanted to break up. And while I'm immobile, I can't even get up from the couch. After major ankle surgery, she was dolling up and darting out the door while I had to watch the kids on crutches. Couldn't even get off the couch.
And despite this, you still wanted to be with her.
Absolutely. I tried. And it wasn't, I love her and I love my kids so much, that I was willing to bend over backwards and forgive her for all of her misdeeds. All of them.
What about all your misdeeds?
Every single
Don't sit
one
there
of
and
them.
act like you haven't cheated
I'm
on
not-
me.
I'm not saying
He
that.
cheated on me with someone who is, he's an indie pro wrestler. He cheated on me with someone who they call ring rats. They call them ring rats for a reason, Your Honor.
Okay. The relationship is definitely torn.
Yes.
In turmoil.
And now I was ready to lay it all out on the line.
And now the paternity, though, of this beautiful young child is in question.
I'm to the point where, we laid everything out on
But
the
you
table.
feel like it was all false pretenses, that she lied the entire time and
I don't-
set you up for this. That's what paternity fraud is.
Yeah.
I did lie. I admit to lying about being
So how am I to know?
with
How am I to
somebody else
know?
here and there.
How am I
So
to
do you also admit, Ms. Grant, to basically defrauding him, basically saying this is your child when you knew for certain that it was not his child? Did you do
ma'am.
that?
No, ma'am. I knew 100% that she was his child because she was conceived during a blizzard.
What does snow on the ground have to do with a child's paternity?
Because the other person doesn't like the cold weather and he went to Florida.
She feels like she could sit
He
there
was
and
not
name
there.
the day of conception.
I
with her.
can.
And I don't see how.
Hold on. Let me. I have a conception calculator here. I want to understand this. So, what day was Aaliyah born?
Her birthday is September 15th of 2010.
September 15th, 2010. If her birthday's September 15th, the dates of conception would be somewhere between December 19th to December 27th.
Yes, ma'am. Her birthday is September 15th.
You say this is a blizzard. This is how you know it could not be the other man's child, is because this man doesn't like the
He
cold.
took off.
And so he was not there. He
No,
was gone.
Yeah, he took off.
All right, so let me pull up the weather.
It doesn't make much sense, Your Honor, because this person
I'm
doesn't
sorry,
have
it
the
makes
time
sense to
in
me.
the
That
time
person
to
has the
leave.
time and the money to do whatever he wants.
It says here, snowfall drifts several feet deep.
It was
Imagine that.
It was a bad year. And it was a bad year the year before as well. I mean, we had ice storms that almost like
So
mirrored
the
each
bottom
other.
line is the
before.
weather that Ms. Grant is describing is in fact true, that it was very snowy weather. And her recollection is this gentleman that she has had this 15-year-long affair does not like the snow, so he was gone. Do you believe that assertion or not?
No, no, I don't.
That's what I wanted
no,
to understand.
I don't.
I don't expect him to believe it. I expect him to believe cold, hard facts and your results.
Everything in me wants to believe everything she said. I've been with her 8 years, almost 9. I want to believe everything.
Off and on, not straight through, because there's been times where he hasn't even
ups and downs.
been
Like I
in
said, there's been ups and
the same
downs.
time zone
Grant,
as me.
Ms. Grant, you do understand,
Yes, ma'am.
based on your testimony and what you've admitted to in your relationship, that at this point he just doesn't believe
I don't expect
anything
for him
you
to believe
say.
anything, but he also, we're at the point where we don't believe each other about anything except for what time it is and if it's sunny outside or not.
I cannot go any further in the relationship as far as marrying her, moving back into the house with her until I get something in concrete about Aaliyah.
And my kids keep coming to me and asking me, when he comes to visit, where's daddy going?
I have to also
And I
sit
have
there
to
and say,
explain that
she
to a
has
7-year-old and a
3 other
4-year-old.
kids. She has 3
I
other
don't
kids
know.
other than mine that I've also taken in.
So the truth is the stakes are very high.
Yes,
and it's
ma'am.
not just this relationship on the line.
It's
There's
not-
an entire family.
Five
an
people
entire
inside the
More
house
than
right
5
now
people.
are affected by what's going on.
More than 5 people.
And
I have people right now telling me that I ought to be ashamed of myself for even being here to prove to this man who I am in love with at this very moment, even though he is accusing me of not knowing who the father of my child is, that I ought to be ashamed of myself for wanting to come in front of you and prove to him and the rest of the world that yes, I've done wrong, but I'm willing to admit that and I'm willing to right those wrongs for my children.
But Ms. Grant, as you stand there and I see how emotional you are when you speak.
Yes, ma'am.
You do understand that much of this you've caused
Yes, ma'am.
by this 15-year-long affair and
Pure
the secret.
dishonesty. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
But your
And I'm willing to
point
admit
is that you're ready now to just step up to the plate, admit what you've done wrong.
because he has the right to know.
When we got into it and she
I
goes,
was willing to lay
she
it
goes,
all
John
out
is
there
leaving.
so that he could be there for the kids if he wanted to be. If he doesn't believe that she's his, that's his problem.
And so if Aaliyah is not your biological daughter, what are you going to do? Are you leaving the family? Are you going to try to work this out?
I just think after all the lies, I just don't think I could bring myself to reconcile again with her. Her friend that had hit me up
She's
on
not
Facebook and
any type
texted,
of friend of mine. She would
apparently
blackmail
told her
me to get her
friend
way.
that I was not her dad. So that's
Like she knows she wasn't there with us.
apparently you told her.
No, I didn't.
I don't know.
Okay.
Her friend told you that Miss Grant said that you're not the father.
Yes.
I never said that.
You state, and you are suing because you believe, Mr. Harrison, that Ms. Grant purposefully, with intention, lied to you about the fact that you were Aaliyah's biological father.
I don't think it's a question of her trapping me or whatnot. I think it was more or less, it was the time, and when she found out she was pregnant, we both kind of found out at the same time, and I was supposed to be the only one around, and with her wanting to break up with me just on spite because she didn't want to come clean and tell the truth.
Sir, I understand that, but you have to understand that there is a difference as you talk about a legal cause for paternity fraud. There is a difference between not wanting to tell my partner, my mate, that I've also had an affair, to purposefully, with intention, defrauding him, telling him, you are the father of this child,
Bar
when
none. I
I
would
know
never
for
do that.
certain that somebody else is, and making you sign an acknowledgement of paternity. Those are two completely different things. And even though the lie she told, the lie she lived, was morally wrong on every level, the legal foundation for paternity fraud has just not been presented here in this courtroom today. And, as I look to the law in your home state, even though you're able to sue for paternity fraud, there's a statute of limitations.
It's non-contestable after 24 months, Your Honor. He's the daddy.
You know Aaliyah's 4 now.
Yes.
You would have had
She'll be
2
5.
years. And you have a lot on the line here. Yes, morally, wrong on every level. Legally, not paternity fraud.
He doesn't believe she's his because of the
I think it's time
date
for the
that she was
results.
born.
Are we ready?
Yes, Your Honor.
These results were prepared by DNA Diagnostics, and they read as follows. in the case of Harrison versus Grant. Do you want to watch Paternity Court on TV? Go to paternitycourt.tv to find your local listings. When it comes to 4-year-old Aaliyah Harrison, it has been determined by this court, Mr. Harrison, you are her father.
I told you.
I'm happy.
Good, good. How do you feel, Miss Grant?
I feel vindicated, Your Honor. Absolutely. I may have lied about my affair, but I know who the father of my child is.
Are you all gonna try to work this thing out?
I hope we can.
I would like to. I really would.
I hope we can.
I forgave her
didn't
for
tell him
everything.
nothing.
When she and I sat down and had this talk, we hashed it all out.
Let me say this to you both. And we have resources for you in counseling, and I want you to take advantage of that. Can you get back to the basics and figure out how to grow again
I
in a
think
healthy
with some
way?
assistance-
Or are you gonna keep rehashing the same lies over and over again? You choose in life what you grow. You can grow the lie or you can grow the love.
Yes, ma'am.
That's your choice.
Yes, ma'am.
Understand?
Yes, ma'am.
I wish you all the very best of luck. You're such a beautiful family.
Thank you.
And I hope you find a way to come together.
I hope
Thank
we will
you.
too.
Court is adjourned.
Thank you.
When Judge Lauren Lake revealed the results, I couldn't be any happier. I'm really hoping that we'll be able to move forward and we'll be able to get married and do the things that we have always talked about doing. This is the last little question I ever had.